Good morning. I'm on a few minutes early, so we'll wait, see if anybody else wants to join us. Good morning, Lisa. I hope you're doing well and staying healthy. Just another minute or so. Don't want to start earlier than 10:30 in case anybody's rushing to join us. Good morning. It says Kathy Barnes. Thank you for joining me. I don't know if any of your girls are with you, but thank you for joining me on this story time. Is it 10:30? I think it is. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm Marcy Bowden. I'm the Director of Faith Formation at Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation, and I am hosting a story time every Monday morning at 10:30. Good morning, Sapola family. I wish I could see you guys. Hi, Tisha. Some of the kids with you. So I've been going through the different principles, and today we're going to work on the third principle. And I have my handy principle sticks here, and the yellow one is the reminder from the rainbow that we're talking about the third principle. And all I did with these is I just made some little cardboard sticks. I put a number on it and the color that corresponds with the rainbow, but then I put a little cheat on the back. Accept each other and grow together. This is our spiritual growth principle. So I've got a couple of stories for you. Before I do, I want to remind you that I will post a list that I have that has all the books that I've kind of accumulated knowledge of that can help remind us a little bit about the third principle. But another good one is Frederick from Leo Leone, The Sneetches from Dr. Seuss. Do you remember this one? It's very discriminatory. The people with stars were the better people. And then love this one, How Full Is Your Bucket for Kids, talking about what we can do for others and how it makes us feel good too. So I'll post a list. It's considerably longer than that. But today I thought I would start out reading Stone Soup. And there are so many different versions of this. The original story had roots in European folklore, but there were related stories in Jamaica and Korea and the Philippines. And this author, John J. Muth, I'm not sure how he would pronounce it, wanted to set the story in China, and he introduced Buddhist traditions. In Buddhist traditions, there's a strong tradition about some tricksters who play tricks on people to help spread enlightenment, to teach them. And I want to thank Willa Cree for donating this book to the Faith Formation Library. So the illustrations are a little tan and brown for the most part, and with the lighting in this room, they may be a little difficult to see, but I'll do my best to help you see it. So it starts with the story of three monks, Hawk, Lock, and Sue. They traveled along a mountain road. They talked about cat whiskers, the color of the sun, and giving. What makes one happy? Sue asked Hawk, who was the youngest monk. Old Sue, who was the wisest, said, "Let's find out." The sound of a bell brought their gaze to the rooftops of a village below. Can you just barely see them in this shadowy picture here? They could not see from so high above that the village had been through many hard times. Famine, floods, and war had made the villagers weary and untrusting of strangers. They had even become suspicious of their neighbors. When the monks reached the foot of the mountain, the villagers disappeared into their houses. No one came forward to greet them. And when the people saw them enter the village, they closed their windows tight. See them entering the walls of the village? You can see the houses behind the wall. The monks knocked on the door of the first house. There was no answer. And then the house went dark. They knocked on a second door and the same thing happened. It happened again and again from one house to the next. These people do not know happiness, they all agreed. But today, said Sue, his face bright as the moon, we will show them how to make stone soup. Thank you for joining me, Jennifer and Reverend Andy. They gathered twigs and branches and they made a fire. They placed a small tin pot on top and filled it with water from the village well. A brave little girl who had been watching came to them. What are you doing? She asked. We're gathering twigs, said Locke. We're making a fire, said Hawk. We are making stone soup, and we need 3 round, smooth stones, said Sue. The little girl helped the monks look around the courtyard until they found just right stones. Then they put them in the water to cook. Those stones will make excellent soup, said Sue. But this very small pot won't make much, I'm afraid. Oh, my mother has a bigger pot, said the girl. Oops. And the little girl ran home, and as she started to take the pot, her mother asked what she was doing. You see how big that pot is? The 3 strangers are making soup from stones, she said. They need a biggest pot. Said the girl's mother. Stones are easy to come by. I'd like to learn how to do that. The monks poked the coals, and as the smoke drifted up, the neighbors peered out from their windows. The fire in the large pot in the middle of the village was a true curiosity. One by one, the people of the village came out to see just what this stone soup was. Of course, old-style stone soup should be well seasoned with salt and pepper, said Hawk. Well, that is true, said Locke as he stirred the giant pot filled with water and stones. But we have none. Well, I have some salt and pepper, said a scholar, his eyes big with curiosity, and he disappeared and he came back with salt and pepper and even a few other spices. Sue took a taste. Oh, the last time we had stone soup of this size and color, carrots made the broth very sweet. Carrots, said the woman from the back. I may have a few carrots, but just a few. And off she ran. She returned with so many carrots that she dropped some, but she finally got them in the pot. Do you think it would be better with onions? Asked Hawk. Oh, yes, maybe an onion would taste good, said a farmer, and he hurried off. And he returned in a moment with 5 big onions, and he dropped those into the bubbling soup. Now that's a fine soup, he said. The villagers all nodded their heads, as the smell was very agreeable. Oh, but if only we had some mushrooms, said Sue, rubbing his chin, and several villagers licked their lips. A few dashed away and returned with fresh mushrooms, and noodles, and pea pods, and cabbage. Something magical began to happen among the villagers. As each person opened their heart to give, the next person gave even more. And as this happened, the soup grew richer and smelled more delicious. I imagine the emperor would suggest that we add dumplings, said one villager. And bean curd, said another. What about cloud ear and mung beans and yams, cried the others. And taro root and winter melon and baby corn, cried other villagers. Garlic, ginger root, soy sauce, lily buds. I have some, the people cried. And off they ran, returning with all that they could carry. The monks stirred and the pot bubbled. How good it smelled. How good it would taste. How giving the villagers had become. At last the soup was ready. The villagers gathered together. They brought rice and steamed buns. They brought lychee nuts and sweet cakes. They brought tea to drink, and they lit lanterns. Everyone sat down to eat. They had not been together for a feast like this for as long as anyone could remember. After the banquet, they told stories and sang songs and celebrated long into the night. And then they unlocked their doors, and they took the monks into their homes, and they gave them very comfortable places to sleep. In the gentle spring morning, everyone gathered together near the willows to say farewell. "Thank you for having us as your guests," said the monks. "You have been most generous." "Thank you," said the villagers. "With the gifts you have given, we will always have plenty. You have shown us that sharing makes us all richer." "And to think," said the monks, "to be happy is as simple as making stone soup." I like that version of the book. All right, now I have a story to tell you. Unfortunately, I have to move the camera a little bit, so be patient. What did I decide to do? I think it goes here. Okay, you can see my green storytelling platform. Okay. And I think I'll sit on the floor, huh? Okay, so this is one of my favorite Unitarian stories. Let's see if I can tilt this up a little bit more. Is that better? Yes. So this is one of my favorite Unitarian stories. It's about a Unitarian minister who lived a long time ago in the 1500s named what we would say Francis David. But the way you would pronounce his name would be Ferenc David. I usually say Francis David because the Ferenc doesn't roll off my mouth well. So this is a story that happened in Transylvania. It was a country in Eastern Europe in the year 1568. Long time ago. So, I think I can sit up here. Okay, so the story is about the king of Transylvania. Here he is, my little king. He lived in a castle, and around him, around the castle, all the people lived, and there were a variety of houses of religion, churches and things. Stay. Now, all the different churches shared many ideas about God, but they also disagreed a lot, particularly about how God spoke to people and how God cared for people and how people could best show that they believed in God and that they cared for God. And sometimes the differences made the people fight, and the king didn't like this because sometimes the people got hurt. So the king was concerned and was thinking about ways to protect his little village, and he thought about building a wall to keep everybody safe. We've heard that story recently, haven't we? But he wasn't sure where should the wall go. So he commissioned some wall pieces, and he thought, well, let me ask for some help, because it's often a good idea to ask people for help to figure things out when you don't know how to do it yourself, right? So he asked one of the local religious people, a priest, to come in. There he is. And he asked him, where should I build the wall? And this minister told the king that the people that followed his church were the most important ones. That's his church. And that they needed to be protected. So he suggested that you build the walls in a way that, not that you knock down another church, that his church was on the inside and all of the other churches were outside the wall. And he thought, this is the best way to protect my people who are the most important. And the king his name was King Sigismund, he thought that was interesting, but he wanted to get a couple of ideas. He asked one of the other, so these walls aren't built yet, this was just the idea. So he asked one of the other ministers to come in, one of the other holy people, and he asked him the same question. And this minister said that his church should be inside the walls. Now, he thought that maybe that original church should be inside too, but he suggested that they build walls so that maybe his church was inside. Tricky. And the other church that had already been there was still inside. But everybody else was left outside. And King Sigismund thought, well, that's protecting people. That's an interesting idea. He said, let me ask one more person. And he asked Francis David to come in. Now, Ferenc had studied several different religions before he decided to be a Unitarian minister. So he understood Catholicism and Lutheranism, and I'm forgetting another one. He was another one too. Sorry. So he was very knowledgeable about the different religions. And he told the king that he thought that all cities should keep all houses of worship safe. That every person of every religion deserved to be protected. He explained that all religions have a lot to teach us, and that Unitarians believe that we should be free to listen to other religions, to learn from other religions, and to choose which ones we followed. Now, the king liked that idea, and David told him that if he loved all of his people equally, then he'd want them all to be protected and safe. So King Sigismund agreed with this, and he decided to build walls outside all the churches to protect the whole city and all of the people within it. And King Sigismund liked the idea of what David told him so much that he became Unitarian. He was the first Unitarian king. And he decided to rule that all religions in his country should be free to preach their beliefs, and that no one should be mistreated because of the way they believed. One of my favorite stories about Unitarian minister is King Sigismund in Transylvania and the Hungary area in Eastern Europe. So I hope you enjoyed our story today. I will be presenting the list of books that kind of teach us a little bit about the third principle. If you have any questions or thoughts, let me know if you're here who's with you. I appreciate you joining me. Have a great day. Stay safe.